Good morning, students, and welcome to today's English class. We are going to start a new chapter from your supplementary reader, Footprints Without Feet. And the name of the chapter is Bholi, which is written by K A Abbas. Bholi is a story of a neglected girl child named Sukekha. She lives in a village with her parents and siblings. Because of her not so beautiful appearance and slow learning capacity, her existence is taken for granted by her parents. They even see her as a burden that they want to get rid of. But then an event in Bholi's life transforms her. She's exposed to the virtues of education. It inspires confidence and courage in her. And later in the story, we'll see that she will raise her voice for her rights. This is the story of Bholi. If I need to give you a little more detail, the story revolves around a girl, as I've already told you, uh, who, due to accidental fall and disease in her childhood, faces the problem of being dull and ugly. She's always a target of everyone for not being good looking and intelligent. Her life turns when she joins a nearby school where her teacher encourages her and helps her to become a learned and confident person. Later in the story, circumstances arise when Bholi has to give acceptance to marriage with an unequal match, but she rejects it when she sees her father pleading to the bridegroom when he demands dowry. The story shows the rise of a girl against all social injustice. Right, we'll start this chapter. From a very childhood, Bholi was neglected at home. Why did her teacher take special interest in her? Did Bholi measure up to her teacher's expectations? So the story starts with the fact that since very childhood, Bholi was neglected at home. And who would neglect Bholi at home? Definitely, it's going to be her parents. Now, why did her teacher take a special interest in Bholi? And did Bholi measure up to teacher's expectation? Did she come up to the expectations of the teacher, the kind of confidence that teacher has placed in her? Did she respond to that confidence? We are going to learn that thing as well as we go ahead with the chapter. Now, before I start the line-wise explanation of this chapter, we are going to look at two questions that are in front of us. The first question is, why is Bholi's father worried about her? We will try to find answer to this question, that why is Bholi's father so much worried about her? And the second question that we will look or search answer for is, for what unusual reasons is Bholi sent to school? So there must be a reason why she is sent to school, right? Were her parents suddenly enlightened that, yes, their daughter should attend school and be educated? Or there was a compulsion, they were compelled to send her child to school. They were compelled to send Bholi to school because they did not have a choice. So let's find answer to these questions. I'll start with the explanation, okay? I'll start with the explanation. Here we go. Right. Her name was Sukekha, but since her childhood, everyone had been calling her Bholi, the simpleton. So the author introduces the protagonist of the story, the central character of the story around who the story revolves. Her name is Sukekha. She's not called Bholi because that's the way she's named. Her name is Sukekha. But since her very childhood, everybody had been calling her Bholi. And Bholi is a Hindi expression, and in English it means the simpleton, someone who is pretty simple. Okay. She was the fourth daughter of Nambardar Ramlal. When she was 10 months old, she had fallen off the cot on her head, and perhaps it had damaged some part of her brain. That was why she remained a backward child and came to be known as Bholi, the simpleton. Uh-oh, so now we get to know the reason as to why Bholi was called Bholi, the simpleton, and why not called by her real name. Now, she was the fourth daughter of Nambardar Ramlal. So if a question comes to you, who is Bholi's father, the name is Ramlal. And Nambardar is a title. All right. Like we have commissioner, like we have subedar, in the same we are like Lance Nayak. In the same way, Nambardar is like a representative of government in a village. So his first name is not Nambardar and then Ramlal. Bholi's father's name is Ramlal and his title is Nambardar. Okay. So when Bholi was 10 months old, she was still a baby. She had fallen off the cot on her head, and perhaps this resulted in damaging some part of her brain. The fall and the landing on her head damaged some part of her brain. And because of this, her, should I say, her growth was retarded. Her growth was slowed down. It did not keep pace with the growth of other children who were absolutely fine physically. So she met with a kind of an accident. That was why she remained a backward child. So she was not a fast learner, she was a slow learner. And because of this, she was called Bholi, meaning the simpleton. I hope you have understood this thing very clearly. Moving on to the next paragraph, this one. At birth, the child was very fair and pretty, but when she was 2 years old, she had an attack of a smallpox. Only the eyes were saved, but the entire body was permanently disfigured by deep black pockmarks. Little Sukekha could not speak till she was 5, and when at last she learned to speak, she stammered. The other children often made fun of her and mimicked her. As a result, she talked very little, right? So let us see what happened, okay? So at birth, Sukekha was born as a very fair and pretty girl. So she had a normal birth. But when she was 2 years old, remember one incident had already happened when she was 10 months old. She had fallen from the cot. The second incident happened when she was 2 years old. She had an attack of smallpox. What happened as a result of this attack? Only the eyes were saved, and the entire body was permanently disfigured. And how? She had deep black pockmarks. Moreover, little Sukekha could not speak till she was 5. Remember that she had been a slow learner. So even talking to her came when she was aged 5. And when at last she learned to speak, she stammered. What is the meaning of word to stammer? To stammer is a kind of a problem with speaking, to speak with many pauses or repetitions because of having speech problems. So when your speech gets distorted, that's when stammering happens. What we call in Hindi, hakalana, right? So other children often made fun of her stammering and mimicked her. You must have seen the movie Golmaal, right? I guess in that there is a character called Lakshman, if I remember well. I don't know if I'm right or not. Okay, you have seen all these movies, okay? So tell me, I mean, you can tell me later if I'm right or wrong. And he always stammers, and everyone around him tries to make fun of him, right? Like it's like acha kal aana kal tak kal aa jayenge, kind of that thing, right? So he's stammering. So of course, Sukekha was ridiculed by the children of her age, and they made fun of her stammering and often mimicked her. So this resulted in drop in her confidence. So she started to lack confidence. Now, this is a time when she should have been given confidence by her parents, but when she was mocked, ridiculed, and made fun of, her confidence levels dropped, and she talked very little. So, can I say that she became seclusive? She decided to live in seclusion all by herself? Yes. So before I move on to the next paragraph, I need to just clarify a few things. The name of the protagonist is Sukekha. And from the very childhood, she is addressed as Bholi, and the meaning of Bholi is simpleton. Now, Sukekha is daughter of one Nambardar Ramlal, and she's the fourth daughter. When she was 10 months old, she met with an accident. She fell head on off the cot, and perhaps damaged some part of her brain. And because of this accident, because of this thing, she became a backward child and became a slow learner. And hence, she was called Bholi. Now, at birth, the child was very fair and pretty. So she was born very fair and pretty, like all the children, okay? And when she was 2 years old, that's when she had an attack of smallpox, which resulted in deep black pockmarks all over her body, and she was permanently disfigured. And little Sukekha could not speak until she was 5 years of age. And when she started to speak, she stammered a lot. And the other children made fun of her stammering, and they mimicked her. And as a result, she became seclusive, right? She became a recluse. She did not speak to many people. She was all by herself. She lacked confidence, right? Okay, let's move on to this one, okay, this paragraph. Ramlal had 7 children, 3 sons and 4 daughters, and the youngest of them was Bholi. So Ramlal was father of how many children? 7. 3 were sons and 4 were daughters, and Bholi was the youngest of all. It was a prosperous farmer's household, and there was plenty to eat and drink. All the children except Bholi were healthy and strong. The sons had been sent to the had been sent to the city to study in schools and later in colleges. Of the daughters, rather the eldest had already been married. The second daughter, Mangala's marriage, had also been settled, and when that was done, Ramlal would think of the third, Champa. They were good-looking, healthy girls, and it was not difficult to find bridegrooms for them. Now, before I jump into the explanation of this paragraph, I'd like to bring to your notice the background in which the story is set. So the story's background. We see that it is a rustic background. It's a rural background. It's the background in the countryside, villages, right? And in village, all right, still because of lack of education and awareness, still exists gender discrimination. So we see here that gender discrimination existed in Ramlal's family. Now, Ramlal was a prosperous farmer, and he had plenty to eat and drink. So there was no shortage of comfort in Ramlal's house. Plus, he could afford his son's education and his daughter's marriages. We see the beginning of discrimination. The first discrimination between the sons and daughters here is that sons had been sent to the city to study in schools and later in colleges. So parents of all these children, right? Should I say here, Ramlal, he was inclined to ensure that his sons got the best in education and schooling. And what did he do to his daughters? He had a mindset, should I say, a rustic mindset, where daughters were considered as burden on the family. And as long as the daughters were good looking, and they were beautiful, it would be convenient for the parents to find suitable groom for them. But if the daughters were ugly and not good looking, mind you, this is a wrong perception, they would treat her as a burden. We see here that one more ill practice is done here, child marriages. We see that Radha the eldest had already been married. The second daughter, Mangala's marriage had already been settled. And when that was done, Ramlal was now looking forward to the marriage of her third daughter, Champa. Now, all 3 daughters were very good looking and they were healthy girls, so it was not very difficult for him to find suitable grooms. But what about Sukekha? She is neither beautiful nor intelligent, according to her parents. So let us see what becomes of Sukekha. Right. But Ramlal was worried about Bholi. She had neither good looks nor intelligence. So Ramlal, he was affluent. He was a wealthy farmer. and he was worried about Bholi. And the reason why he was worried about Bholi was because Bholi was neither good looking nor intelligent. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph. Right, so see, you can see here Bholi, the poor child, okay, sitting here all by herself, right? You see pock marks on her face, right? And this is Ramlal, and perhaps this is Champa who is to get married. Okay, moving on. This. Okay, we are on this paragraph. Bholi was 7 years old when Mangala was married. So when the second daughter was married, Bholi was 7 years old. The same year, a primary school for girls was opened in their village. The Tehsildar Sahib came to perform its opening ceremony. He said to Ramlal, as a revenue official, you are the representative of the government in the village, and you must set an example to the villagers. You must send your daughters to school. All right. So we'll see uh, that there is a turn of event in the story. Okay. Let us see what this turn of event is. So we get to see that the Tehsildar, right? Tehsildar is someone like a district magistrate, right? So when Bholi was 7 years of age, that was the time when Mangla, the second daughter of Ramlal, got married. The same year, a primary school for girls was opened in their village. And the Tehsildar, the district magistrate maybe, he came to perform its opening ceremony. So he came for the ribbon cutting and the opening ceremony. He told Ramlal that since Ramlal was a revenue official and an official representative of the government in the village, it was his responsibility to set an example to the villagers by sending his daughters to school, right? And that time, Ramlal had two unmarried daughters, Champa and Bholi. Okay, so this was an event that has happened. All right, so you can clearly see that the story has lot of relevance, or should I say, it is relevant to modern days. There's this government campaign, "Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao," right? So it syncs with this project of the government, right? So that's what the Tehsildar asked Ramlal to do. He asked that him to send his daughters to school because he must set an example, as he was the representative of the government, and he must set examples to the villagers. Now, poor Ramlal was caught between the devil and the deep sea. Now, what is the meaning of the expression caught between the devil and the deep sea? It means that on either side, there are difficult choices to make. Okay, let's see how well this expression finds acceptance in these two paragraphs. That night when Ramlal consulted his wife, she cried, "Are you crazy? If girls go to school, who will marry them?" See, this is another social stigma, that if a girl gets educated, then she will not be a good material for marriage. Because who wants an educated bride? So this is another social stigma that we come across in this chapter. Moving on. But Ramlal had not the courage to disobey the Tehsildar. So when I have told you this expression, that caught between the devil and the deep sea, so the devil was the wife. Do not write it in your answers that Ramlal's wife was a devil. Maybe you will have a feeling while you will read this chapter that she was really not a mother but a devil in disguise. But uh, now Ramlal could not disobey his wife. Look at his wife's argument or point of view. She says that she rather calls Ramlal crazy. Are you stupid? Are you moron? Are you out of your senses? If girls go to school, who will marry them? That's her side of the argument. And Ramlal could not say no to Tehsildar. Right? He cannot say no to the district magistrate and tell him that, no, sir, I'll not be able to send my daughters to school because when I'll try to get them married, no one will accept them as bride because they're educated. So he's caught between the devil and the deep sea. On one side, he has his wife that has her own, and she has her own argument. And on the other hand, there is an order and instruction by the Tehsildar. Okay. At last, his wife said, I will tell you what to do. Send Bholi to school. As it is, there is a little chance of her getting married with her ugly face and lack of sense. Let the teachers at school worry about her. Now, haven't I told you that you will start to feel that the mother is a devil in disguise? I mean, who treats the child, their own child, in this manner? How can you say so demeaning terms, I mean, such demeaning terms for your own child? She is trying to give a way out to Ramlal that, okay, if you have to obey your Tehsildar, then why don't you do this? Why don't you send Bholi to school? Anyway, there is hardly a chance of her getting married because she has an ugly face and she lacks intelligence. She demeans her own child. She kind of belittles her own child. I've given you two words, demeans and belittles. Okay, belittle is to kind of degrade your own child. Okay. And then she says, you know what? Let the teachers at school worry about her. Any which way, we will not be able to help her because she is ugly and she lacks sense. So we are helpless. So why don't we throw our trouble onto the school teacher and let them worry about Bholi? So coming back, right, children, I think we have found answers to the questions. Why is Bholi's father worried about her? The answer is that Bholi is ugly and lacks sense. She is not intelligent. That is the reason. Why is Bholi ugly? Remember the incident when she was 2 years of age and she had pock marks on her face as a result of uh, smallpox. Okay. And why was she a slow learner? Remember the accident that she had when she was 10 months old? That's when, when she had fallen off the cot on her head and that had damaged some part of her brain. That's the reason. So she was a slow learner. So we have reasons for the two. Next, for what unusual reasons is Bholi sent to school? So what is the unusual reason? I mean, were the parents very excited? Oh my God, I'll send my daughter Bholi to school and she will have a great life and a career. She will end up as an educated girl. No. Now that was not the intention. The intention was that Bholi's father, Ramlal, had to obey the instructions of the Tehsildar, who had asked him to set an example for the villagers by sending her daughters to school. And Champa was on the verge of getting married. And if she's sent to school, she would be educated. And then, of course, it will be difficult for Ramlal and his wife to find a suitable groom for Champa. But you know what, Bholi? I'll give you a word for her. She is expendable. What word did I give you? Expendable. They could do away with Bholi. They could send her to school, not because they wanted her to be educated, but this way they were kind of pushing their burden onto the teacher. Now let them take care of Bholi, not us. Right, so this is how they responded. Okay, I hope this part is clearly understood to you. All right, now we'll try to find answers to these two questions. Does Bholi enjoy her first day at school? Does she find her teacher different from the people at home? So what kind of atmosphere Bholi has in home? She's a neglected child. Remember that. Okay, moving on. The next day, Ramlal caught Bholi by the hand and said, come with me, I'll take you to school. Bholi was frightened. So the next day, Ramlal caught Bholi by the hand and said, "Come with me. I'll take you to school." The Bholi was really scared. She was really frightened. She did not know what a school was. She remembered how a few days ago their old cow, Lakshmi, had been turned out of the house and sold. So poor Bholi was terrified when her father grabbed her hand and told her that she will be sent to school. Poor child had no idea what school was. She could not figure it out. All she remembered was that how a few days ago their cow named Lakshmi had been turned out of the house and sold. So is she going to have the same fate? Is her father going to take her out of the house and sold her like Lakshmi? Will she never come back to her family? All these fears started to take over Bholi. She thought that she will meet the same fate as Lakshmi the cow. No, 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 no. She shouted in terror and pulled her hand away from her father's grip. "What's the matter with you, you fool?" shouted Ramlal. "I'm only taking you to school." Then he told his wife, "Let her wear some decent clothes today, or else what will the teachers and other schoolgirls think of us when they see her?" So poor Bholi was so terrified that she shouted in terror and she started stammering, okay? And she pulled her hand away from her father's grip, thinking that she might have the same fate as Lakshmi, their old cow, right? Now, Father Ramlal maybe understood why Bholi was responding in this manner. Now, he clearly understood that she was terrified and that if they took her to school this way, it will mean shame to them. Plus, the villagers will wonder how Ramlal treats her youngest daughter. Okay. So Ramlal said, okay, rather told his wife that give her some decent clothes to wear, or else what the teachers and other schoolgirls will think of us when they'll see her. So Ramlal is going to make her wear some decent clothes, right? Now he is worried about his reputation. He's worried that if he takes Bholi the way she lives in their house to the school, then he will be, you know, ridiculed by the teachers and schoolgirls. They will wonder the neglected. They will wonder how neglected they keep Bholi at their home. So new clothes had never been made for Bholi. The old dresses of her sisters were passed on to her. This is the last paragraph I'm going to take today. Right. So new clothes had never been made for Bholi. The old dresses of her sisters were passed on to her. No one cared to mend or wash her clothes. But today she was lucky to receive a clean dress which had shrunk after many washings and no longer fitted champa. She was even bathed and oil was rubbed into her dry and matted hair. Only then did she begin to believe that she was being taken to a place better than her home. So this is something that happened. Let's find out what happened here. So new clothes had never been made for Bholi, right? She was always made to wear the old clothes that were handed her. I mean, the clothes that were, or should I say, the dresses that were handed down to her from her elder sisters. So when the dress did not fit the elder sister, they would be given to Bholi. So if Champa would not wear those dresses, they would be passed on to Bholi. So the old dresses of her sisters were passed on to her. No one cared to mend or wash her clothes. That was the height of neglect. But today, she was lucky to receive a clean dress which had shrunk after many washing and no longer fitted Champa. So finally, today, that day was her lucky day because that day she would receive a clean dress to wear. And was this a new dress? No. This clean dress that we are talking about was the one that no longer fitted Champa, and it has shrunk after many washings. Bholi was even bathed and oil was rubbed onto her dry and matted hair. Matted means the hair that are tangled in a thick mess. That means tangled. Only then did Bholi begin to believe that she was being taken to a place better than her own home. You see, when Bholi was made to wear a new dress, she was bathed and oil was rubbed onto her dry hair. Bholi would recollect that every time she went out of the house to some better place than her own home, this was how she was dressed. This was how she was treated. Now that instilled confidence in Bholi, and she was certain, she was confident that yes, finally I'm taken to a place which is better than my own home.